Have you ever stopped to think about how we go from just wondering about something to actually knowing it? It's definitely not magic, it's a process. And today, we are opening up the exact toolkit that researchers, businesses, and honestly, anyone with a curious mind uses to find out what's really going on in the world. I mean, this is the big question, right? How do we get past our gut feelings, our guesses, and our assumptions to a place where we can say, okay, I actually know this for sure? Well, the answer lies in having a structured way to find out. And that structured way is called data collection. You can think of it as the engine that drives all understanding. It's the key difference between just a random guess and a real solid conclusion. By systematically gathering up and measuring information, we can finally answer our questions, put our ideas to the test, and see what actually works. So, what's actually inside this toolkit? Well, the first and maybe the most direct tool is often the simplest one. You just ask people. I mean, if you want to know what someone thinks or feels or does, sometimes the best way to find out is to go right to the source. Now, when we decide to ask for information, there are two main ways we can go about it. On one hand, you've got interviews. This is a direct conversation, and it's fantastic for digging deep, for understanding the why behind someone's answers. On the other hand, you have questionnaires. These are perfect for getting information from a ton of people really quickly, which gives you this incredible broad strokes view of what's happening. So let's dig into interviews for a second. We're talking about a real-time conversation. It could be one-on-one, in person, or maybe over a video call. You could even get a small group of people together for what's called a focus group and have them all discuss a topic. The real key here is that direct, flexible, back-and-forth interaction. And then, of course, there are questionnaires. Think of any online survey or feedback form you've ever filled out. The person answers the questions all on their own time, which means you can gather info from hundreds or even thousands of people super efficiently. That ability to scale up is their real superpower, even if you do lose a little bit of that deep personal context you get from an interview. Okay, but what if you want to see how people actually behave, not just what they say they do? Because let's be honest, those can be two very different things. For that, we need to pull a different set of tools out of our kit. We need to start observing the world directly. And this brings us to one of the most powerful tools we have, the experiment. If you absolutely positively need to know if A causes B, this is your go-to method. It's an active kind of observation where you don't just sit back and watch, you actually intervene. And the logic behind it is just beautifully simple. First, you change one little thing on purpose. That's what we call a variable. So, for example, maybe you change the type of fertilizer you're using on just one plant. Step 2, you watch what happens. You observe the effect. Did that one plant grow taller than all the others? By changing just one thing, you can start to really isolate cause and effect. Now, on the complete flip side of an active experiment, we have direct observation. This is a totally passive method. The researcher's whole job is to just blend in, to be a fly on the wall, and watch what happens in a natural setting without interfering at all. Think of an anthropologist in the field, just taking notes and pictures to capture life exactly as it unfolds. All right, so we can ask people and we can observe the world, but what about the absolute mountains of information that already exist out there? Our third set of tools is all about being resourceful and making use of data that's already been collected. This one is so cool. It's called using existing records. Seriously, think of yourself as a data detective here. You're sifting through information that someone else gathered for a completely different reason. Things like government reports, old company sales data, historical documents, you name it, all to find new clues to answer your own questions. The real magic of this method isn't just rereading old info. It's about bringing new questions to that old data. You're introducing new investigative questions to see what else you can find. Imagine looking at weather data from 50 years ago to find new patterns about climate change. That's the power of looking at old stuff with fresh eyes. Plus, it can be way cheaper and faster. So let's zoom out. We have asking, observing, and using existing records. Why is it so important to have this entire toolkit? What's the big picture here? Well, because this is the ultimate goal. Having these tools is what allows us to definitively answer our research questions. It's how we properly test our ideas and evaluate outcomes to see what's actually working. And it goes beyond just research. It helps all of us make smarter, more informed decisions in pretty much every part of our lives. At the end of the day, that's what all these tools really do. They take that little spark of curiosity we all have, and they provide a reliable, repeatable structure, a path, to turn that curiosity into a credible, solid conclusion. It's the foundation of how we learn about our world.
So I'll leave you with this thought. You have the toolkit now. Think about a question you've always had. Big or small, it doesn't matter. Which one of these tools would you pick up first to find your answer?